Hey everyone, Skull 902 here, along with Rabid Sonic Fan, Doremi's Melody, and Symphonic-Labyrinth for the Protocast. I know we've gotten at least one request to have us do a podcast. At least me and Rabbit. I don't know. Someone wanted a
Yeah, I
podcast on my
requested
fucking
it.
channel.
Me.
Someone wanted a fucking podcast on my channel, and you know who you are. So I figured that with all of us having recently seen the 2020 Sonic the Hedgehog film, we would all have a nice little family chat about it, except not because we're going to be swearing up a goddamn storm.
Yep.
Would you all like to properly introduce yourselves?
I'm Rabid Sonic Fan. I've been on this channel about 1 billion times. You should know who I am by now.
Exactly.
I'm Symph, and I second what Rabbit said.
I'm Doremi's Melody. I am a newbie to this channel, so there's that.
And the channel artist.
And the channel artist.
She's a wonderful channel artist. Hashtag go check her out.
I make drawings.
I do this thing called fucking art, okay?
Oh, so you make hentai, got it.
Off to a beautiful start already, people.
Oh, God.
So, speaking of hentai, the Sonic movie.
Naturally.
Once again, managed to avoid choking.
I mean, didn't you see that scene where he was wrapped up in a towel? I mean, come on.
Oh my.
I mean, yeah, so seductive.
Before we get into this proper, one note I need to make. We're going to be talking about, like, anything and everything that we can conjure up. So this is going to be a spoiler-heavy chat. So, spoilers. In case you weren't already mad at us for mentioning hentai, then, don't be mad at us for getting into plot details and stuff in the movie. We gave you a fair warning.
We will give
Warning.
absolutely no shit. So, Tails was in the movie.
Indeed he is, but like all good stories, let's start us at the beginning. Unlike the actual movie, which starts in the middle. But who cares? Who cares? So anyway, it was like 2013 or 2014. Sony came by and was like, yo, we're making a live action CG hybrid Sonic the Hedgehog film.
Except they called it Sonic the Hedgehog in their leaked emails, so they clearly knew what kind of movie they were making.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
The more
Oh
you
my
know.
God.
And this was during a time when Sega wanted to sort of expand Sonic into more multimedia. So we were getting
Yeah, this was around when Sonic Boom was just starting, so...
Boom was announced. They started doing the Mega Man crossovers in the Archie comics, which was a big, huge event. And then they had this announcement. And of the three, only one of them, I think, was met with any kind of positive reaction at first.
Yeah.
I know when I like first saw the news, Sonic live action CG movie, my mind immediately went to the worst things, like Alvin and the Chipmunks, or
I mean,
the Smurfs.
Oh, God.
Video game movies being what they were.
And video game movies in general.
Yeah.
Rabbit brings up a good point. It wasn't looking like it was going to be any pretty.
Pretty much until not too long before the movie came out, I thought it was going to be fucking terrible. So you're not alone there.
Yeah,
I also had concern.
yeah. So it wasn't looking too good on the outset there. Remy, did you want to add anything to that?
I mean, I didn't have any opinion on the movie because with how little information we were getting by the year, it wasn't until we got that trailer like spring of last year where I was like, okay, what are you thinking, people? And I was legitimate concerned.
It's the internet.
Yeah.
You're supposed to judge things before you know anything about them.
Well, I tend to stay pretty optimistic for the matter. You know, until I actually see some official footage or news or anything like that.
This was around the time where news regarding the series was coming in at a very incredibly slow pace. We had
kind of that way right now. We haven't had any like new games for years.
Yeah, like in the mid 2010s, there was Boom, and then there was like nothing else.
Yeah,
pretty much. Goodness. So while that was going on, I guess the prevailing thought was, well, this movie's going to be a thing, I guess. While it was languishing in development hell, Sony eventually pulls the plug on it. It gets turned over to Paramount, who start developing it, and then I think they had already started filming by the time that the original teaser came out in December of 2018. Just the silhouette of the original Sonic design. And
it was another Boom Knuckles moment.
Oh God. You know, speaking of Boom, you know, that's actually a pretty good comparison to think about. I'll try to find the tweet that I made, or fuck it, I can just paraphrase it. I think when that silhouette image came out, I said something like, "This is the type of thing that kids are trying to describe when they're talking about monsters in the closet."
I mean, yes.
Which just seems to be in line with what most other people thought, just from a silhouetted image alone. How did you guys feel?
I didn't like it.
Short and to the point there.
I think my first initial thoughts on that image was, okay, that's not Sonic.
That's a very human-like muscular leg there.
I think when I originally saw it, I was with my friend group in college, and immediately one of them was just like, Sonic didn't skip leg day. And that's very evident right now, and I'm just like, no, please, no. That's
unlike
not
Boom Knuckles, he did not skip leg day.
He shouldn't have those kind of legs.
So it already came across as like very unsettling, you would say, yeah.
I can't say it was unexpected because Paramount also did the same thing to the Ninja Turtles and Transformers and so on.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's like another thing is because like, yeah, they also did that. And I guess at that point, and then like later on when we did get that first initial trailer, I was praying to God. I was like, okay. If Sonic can't make this movie good, then please, for the love of God, Jim Carrey, do something.
You know, that was like the one initial piece of news I think that I thought, oh shit, this is an idea that has potential.
Yeah. And pretty much when that first trailer came out, everyone was universally being like, Jim Carrey will save this fucking movie.
My parents,
or at least he won't make it totally painful.
My parents were honestly surprised when I told them the news that Jim Carrey was going to be in the film, and that just made them even more hyped to go watch it. And I'm just like, am I just like being a younger? Because I barely remember Jim Carrey from other movies. Like, yeah, I remember him from like Son of the Mask and oh my god, The Grinch. What is that other movie? I can't remember. But like, my parents basically with Jim Carrey, so that just made them even like more excited to watch it.
You are You are a tad bit younger than we are. I don't know what was up with my mouth there. You are a tad bit younger than we are, so I think that perhaps you had missed a lot of Jim Carrey's time in the limelight from like the 90s up until around the mid 2000s or so.
The one that resonated with me the most was How the Grinch Stole Christmas. That one resonated with me a lot.
his performance as the Grinch was fucking legendary in that.
He was easily the best part of that movie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think for the most part, it was. If I was praying that the script would be good for I'm talking about the Sonic movie. Just so nobody gets confused. I was just praying that the script was very well done. Like, yeah, if Sonic did look shitty, then please, for the love of God, let the story be good.
I do wonder how the movie would have been if they just kept Sonic's design, because the script is fairly solid.
Yeah.
I can second that, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of the thing, was that like the silhouette was already like something that got some reactions out of people, but holy fucking shit. When that first trailer dropped, oh boy.
Gotta go fast. Yeah, I vomit. Just straight up
meow.
vomit.
Been spending most our lives.
Oh God.
I want to know who was behind the song choice for that, by the way.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I was just reading about the movie on TV Tropes, and they actually put it pretty nicely by saying that like that is a slow and moody song. Like that is not Sonic whatsoever. Yeah, the internet basically exploded. Sonic fans for once united in hating the fucking design and just the vibes that the trailer was giving off. Except for Jim Carrey as Robotnik.
Well, of course, because he's evil.
So if it wasn't solidified by then, I watched that trailer and thought to myself, yeah, this is gonna be a terrible goddamn movie. But at least Jim Carrey.
Yeah, basically.
Jim Carrey is a treasure.
And if you see like interviews he did for this movie, it seems like this is the most fun he's had with anything in like a long time.
He
Oh,
said
yeah.
that he would be down for doing a sequel, which
And he normally
surprised
hates
me.
sequels.
Right.
Exactly.
When I learned that information, I was just like, "Oh wow! So this must have been like a really good like production for him to actually want to come back and do a sequel for this movie."
Yeah, he must have had a grand old time with it, just in his performance alone. And you know, I think even in that first trailer that everyone hated except for his parts in it, you can tell. I think it's a good testament to his performance in the film.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How did you guys think after after all the anguish and the memes and everything about the design went down, and then Paramount was actually like, okay, we've heard you, and we're gonna take this into the shop and try and turn it around?
I could pinpoint the exact moment in time in which hell froze over.
Yeah, that sounds like an accurate sort of thing.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised by that news.
Yeah. Not only that, but they got the boy Tyson Hess to do the design.
I'm sorry. I have major respect for Tyson Hess.
I think we all do.
He a good draw guy.
The creator of Nipples the Enchilada himself.
I think it's just like the whole thing of like, I am a fellow Sonic artist and he is just a legend in my eyes. But you know,
yeah.
I guess I'm trying to remember the exact. I think I was in work when I was just like scrolling through Twitter and I saw that news just like was just like recently announced. And my initial reaction, and I had to apologize in front of my boss, was just like, holy shit. And I said that out loud, not really like 100% thinking of what I was doing. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to swear out loud. I mean, just having to like go to like the restroom and just fully like gather my emotions, because I was not expecting for everyone's like message to be heard, because I don't really think that there's been like a case scenario where like fans have expressed something being like, oh my god, my brain is like escaping me right now, expressing that they wanted something changed, and like the people in charge actually like obeying or hearing to like their thoughts
actually
and concerns.
listening to them and changing what was.
Yeah,
it's
like,
a rarity.
The only other thing I can think of was yet another Paramount production, the Ninja Turtles movie that came out a little while ago. People were fucking pissed that Shredder wasn't Japanese anymore, so they're like, fucking fine, we'll make him Japanese.
There was another, yet again, a Paramount movie, and I can't remember what it was from my recent TV Tropes reading that I did like half an hour before we got into this call. So that's my short-term memory for you. But it was another design-related thing. It wasn't like internet backlash that got to him, though. But they did delay a movie for a year because children in the test audiences were absolutely like...
Monster Truck? Is that the name of it, I think?
Something along those lines, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so they delayed it by a year because it was just too scary for the kiddos.
Yeah.
So I guess if there's a lesson to be learned from just the reaction to the design and their decision to turn it around is that Paramount is the only studio that will give an inch when it comes to fan reactions, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure there are those two people out there who are like, why the fuck are Sonic's arms still blue?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks weird to me, but it's not something I feel like assaulting people over.
I don't really mind it. I mean, I think after Boom, I've just gotten used to the blue arms. So I'm just at that point where, like, I'm not gonna, like, say...
Pretty much,
like,
I'm not sure why they do it, but, you know, it's a thing, so whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, this doesn't look 100% right to me. But also, who gives a shit?
Yeah, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So they announced they're doing the redesign. Tyson Hesse comes on board, does his work, and then the second trailer comes out. And I think this is about the time when attitudes started changing, because like there were just generally some moments, and maybe Sonic's whole design distracted from like some of the potential I guess you could maybe see in the first trailer, but
well, overall the first trailer just wasn't really very well put together either.
Yeah. And then like the second trailer comes out, and people are a little more ecstatic. They're like, I remember thinking, okay, so this is probably still going to be bad, but it's going to have some charm now, it looks like.
Yeah. Overall, I thought like the second trailer was just like a better product. It's not just the design, like it also has like better like use of jokes and like music and stuff.
Plus, I knew it was going to be at least a movie with charm, because that's when the world was blessed to find out that there would in fact be a golden retriever in the movie.
Well, of course.
Fun fact: the second movie, when we got like our first like glimpse at the redesign, came out the same day that the Detective Pikachu trailer came out. It was the anniversary, from what I've gathered. And my friends found it pretty... My friend was the one who pointed it out to me, and they're just like, if that isn't them trying to make sure that this movie like gets good, then I don't know what is. And I'm like, you're fucking in it too much.
I think they're a bit off with that, because when I saw Detective Pikachu in theaters, they played the first Sonic trailer, and I was laughing my ass off.
I had a few people in the theater when I went to see Detective Pikachu, and the trailer played. Literally go along with Sonic, meow. It was great.
I think the same thing happened to me, because when I went to go see the movie, I think it was me and a couple other people in the theater, just like, oh god, here it comes. Meow? And my mom just gave me the weirdest look. And she's like, don't tell me you want to go watch this movie. And I'm just like, I can neither confirm nor deny.
But I can neither confirm nor deny that fact.
Exactly. But I was happy to see the second trailer. I was ready. I was actually excited to watch it. I think I'm just gonna say this right now. I'm glad that they actually made the announcement that they were gonna push back the movie to focus on the redesign.
Oh,
if
yeah.
they would have done the redesign but still kept their November release date for the movie, I would have been infuriating, because then that would have shown that they were overworking their like animation staff, and I would not be okay with it.
Well, there's that, and they actually apparently give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always good.
I mean, even with a 3-month delay, the animators were saying that I know at least one of them was talking about 10 to 12 hour work shifts.
Crunch is just to be expected when you're an animator. So
yeah, so to get all that done in like such a short span of time is wow,
Yeah.
But it shows.
Yeah.
The new design is good looking and well animated, I think.
Yeah, it's a lot more expressive than the first one.
Oh,
Mhm.
I love his expressions. God.
Almost anything though is more expressive than original Sonic for
Those
that
fucking
movie.
teeth.
Don't remind me of the teeth. Ugh.
Of course, it's not a perfect design. We touched on the blue arms, and the producers of Conan on TBS definitely came up with an interesting alternative with floppy dick Sonic that sounds like Zaboomafoo, but it's a good design.
I haven't yet watched.
Wait, what?
To this day. Wait, Steph, did you not know about this?
No.
So, I haven't watched this clip because I don't support it, but apparently there was like this like thing the day the trailer came out, the second trailer. Conan had like this like weird like, oh my god, like this weird suit, and it had like this big floppy dick showing out and everything.
What the fuck?
Skull and Rabbit, I'm pretty sure you guys probably either watched the clip, so you guys can elaborate on that better than I can, because I've just seen images. I haven't actually like watched the video or from that.
I tweeted
we 100% watched that.
Yeah. I tweeted about it when I first saw it, and I did it just to make that joke. Floppy dick Sonic with Boomafoo's voice. But as far as like the actual segment itself, it started off funny. But then like he started grandstanding for some goddamn reason. Like I remember sitting in my chair just like face palming essentially. When he was like, "You guys could have been out doing insert political thing here instead of complaining on the internet about the design." Like, fucking God. Just late night talk shows used to be so much better.
To do.
Like, it didn't end on a very strong note. It wasn't funny at the end. Like, I mean, the initial moment where he starts running out and there's his censored dick flopping all around, like, that's funny. But when he starts talking about like how people could have been talking about racism or whatever the shit instead of the movie design, like, come on.
Yeah, well, you see, we're not the target audience.
So yeah, that aside, so they had the redesign all done. Second trailer comes out, attitudes start changing. I know that when I saw it, I got far more excited to see the movie, even if I did ultimately think that it was just going to be a bad movie with charm, because the design wasn't going to suck and it had Jim Carrey in it. So I was like, hey, that's another positive to look at. Plus Golden Retriever. So,
I want a golden retriever so bad.
I just want to just need a dog in my life.
Don't we all?
The Airbud spinoff we never knew we wanted.
Yeah, fuck Air Buddies. That's my headcanon now for absolutely no reason. That dog is Airbud, and he's chosen Sonic to be his successor. They even play basketball in the movie, so clearly this is canon.
Clearly.
I take it then. I know Remy said that she got more excited to see the movie. I take it you guys, Rabbit and Symph, you also were considerably more hyped to see it after the second trailer.
I was a lot more open, but still a bit wary.
Symph?
God, how did I feel that day? Not gonna lie, I screamed a little. Like
unexpected Symph reaction.
Oh yeah. If any of you know me, that is something I do. But yeah, as soon as I did. I did. Not gonna lie, I did.
Beautiful.
Yeah, as soon as I saw it, Tori and I were sitting on the couch and we watched it and we just looked at each other and he said, "We're going to see this movie." And I'm like, "Fuck yeah," we high-fived. It was great.
Together we will show the world what we can do.
You grabbed Maestro, you gave him a kiss.
I probably did. Or whichever cat was nearby at the time.
If they weren't all murdering each other.
Just
That,
swipe
yes.
them up. Swipe them both up while they're killing each other and just give them both kisses and then set them back on the floor and let them continue killing each other.
Yeah.
I think I cried initially when I saw it. The second trailer for the time.
Yeah.
I'm an emotional person, and for me to have tears of joy, rarely happens often. So for that to be my initial reaction, I don't know. I guess like the movie was just like, and I'll get more into that when we actually like talk like the movie, like spoilers and all that stuff. I think it was just like my inner child just like starting to like come back to the surface after just being in a transition to like full adulthood for like the past like year or so.
I definitely feel that. When I was watching it with Tori, it just flashbacks of my childhood and how much Sonic has meant to me over the years. Like,
oh my god.
Your inner childhood just came out, personified itself, and was like, "Hey, it's not going to be total shit."
yeah.
My inner child didn't really kick in until I actually saw the movie.
My inner child definitely did as soon as we started watching it.
My inner child showed its true colors when we were in that theater. And I think my mom was paying more attention to me during certain like parts of the movie, because like when we left the theater afterwards, she was like, "This is the most excited and like the most I've seen you enjoy yourself in like 15 years." And I'm like, damn
wow.
straight.
I live a sad existence.
Considering Sonic wasn't a part of my childhood per se, like I had just become a teenager when I became a fan of the series. I wouldn't quite say that my inner child was exploding or anything, but I sensed a good deal of like a familiar sort of sense of nostalgia. So I guess that's a good segue into talking about like our experiences respectively watching the movie. I know like Symph and I had plans before this whole thing went down. You want to touch on that a little bit, Symph?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still really bummed, but Skull, Tori, and I were going to meet up for the first time, and our first friend activity that we were going to do was go see the movie together. And stuff happened that I'm not going to get into, so it didn't happen.
A litany of issues, and like the cherry on top, I think, was that when release day actually came around, you were recovering from the flu, weren't you?
Let's see, that was Valentine's Day. Yeah, I was just getting over being sick. Fun fact, I think I actually had the coronavirus.
Well,
so that's absolutely crazy. So unfortunately, Symph and I had these plans to meet, and we were going to do a bunch of content and all that. That very much fell through. I wasn't able to see the movie on premiere day. Remy did. Symph, I believe you did too.
We saw it the day after.
Ah, okay. So I guess appropriately enough, it would be the best to start off with Remy, like how did you sort of like prepare yourself, and what was your sort of experience going into the theater to see it?
So I will say that I emailed my teacher saying that I was sick that day to make sure I was fully prepared.
I'm proud of you.
Exactly what a responsible person would do.
So I'm a theater student at my college, and typically we do Friday rehearsals, but that day rehearsal was canceled. And I was like, okay, so the only thing I would have to do in the morning would be to go to class. I got up at 6 a.m, emailed my professor, hey, listen, I'm not feeling so good. I'm not going to be able to make it to class, when I was just doing it just to make sure I had the entire day to prepare. I think me and Skull were in a call the day prior. And I had set up some, my God, I pulled out my old Sonic blanket because it was a really chilly day, and I knew by the time that we were going, it was gonna get like super. I had an old hat that was Sonic, and a shirt, and I also brought. And this is like the most childish thing now that I'm actually like saying it out loud, but it was just me being super excited to go watch it, and I brought like my biggest and probably I think the oldest Sonic plush that I had to the theater with me, and my mom was just like she was like, she didn't like question it, and neither did my father, because my father was also he was unfortunately laid off during that time from his work, so he was staying home during the time. They looked like they were like so surprised but also proud because they've never seen me that happy in like forever, or like a year or two, like I said prior. So it was just me with all this Sonic merch get up going to the theater that we chose to go to. And I was initially scared because like here's this 20-year-old walking into a theater with a whole bunch of like merch of Sonic the Hedgehog, and I was legit thinking I would have been the only one. But then like right as we got to like the entrance of the theater, we saw like a whole bunch of kids lined up with their Sonic plushes and all that stuff, and I was just like, I feel so much at home.
You know what would have been you know what would have been fucking hilarious? You with all that Sonic merch, like you're in line, and I presume you're noticeable because you have a Sonic blanket, and the plush is the backpack, correct?
Yeah, but I wasn't using it as a backpack. I was just carrying it in my arms.
Gotcha. So you got the Sonic backpack in your arms, and you're wearing a hat, and then so you very noticeably got all the Sonic stuff on. You go to the teller or the person at the counter or whatever, and then you're just like, okay, I want to see Harley Quinn.
One ticket for Birds of Prey, please.
That would have been funny. But I have no interest in Birds of Prey. What? I forget.
Apparently the audiences didn't either, but go on.
That's a different story. We actually pre-ordered our tickets for the movie like 2 days prior. So there's that. So all we had to do is just like get our like confirm our reserved seats and stuff, and we were just waiting for the movie to start, and we grabbed our snacks, and the entire theater is just filled with like Sonic fans, and I've just like this is the closest wow, this is like a close experience that I would have to like being in the same like place as other Sonic fans, like IRL. I think I've told a few people this story, but there was like a little like bullying going on prior to the movie actually starting, and I
was wondering when you were gonna get to this.
Yeah, I was gonna tell the story. Don't worry. So it was. Oh my god, it's slipping my mind like what they were actually talking about. But I guess like one little like kid brought like a Tails plush, and they were like their other friends were making fun of them because like they all had like Sonic plushes, and they were like the only one who had Tails. And they were like, Tails is such a loser. Like, this is a Sonic movie. Like, Tails isn't even in this movie or something like that. And just, like, a little bit of bullying going on. a part of me was just like, hey, listen, I gotta do something, because I can't just like stand by and let this like little kid get bullied for something that they're like passionate about. So I go up to like this little like this group of kids, and I'm just like telling them like, hey, like, why are you picking on this little kid because he likes tails, and just explaining to him, like, he's a lot like what he likes. And and initially I'm talking to the person that wasn't that getting bullied. And I have this tendency to go into like my Tails voice. So I just started breaking out my Tails right in front of like this little group of kids.
Your pride and joy.
Just like, I heard that you're a big supporter of me. I think that's really nice that you're a big fan of mine. And just everybody. So like it all turned from like a group of 3 or 4 going against one kid to all of them being surprised. It's like, are you Tails? Like, are you actually Tails? And like they got super excited. And I'm just like, okay, what did I get myself into? And I think it was just the whole like, be sure to like enjoy the movie, and telling this little keep like, don't let other people make fun of you for what you like, because I was unfortunately one of those kids when I was younger getting made fun of for liking Sonic. So I didn't want to let that rinse and repeat. So by me doing that, I kind of like interfered from that actually happening. So they all made up, they all apologized, and they went into the theater, which by the way was an XD theater. So it had all surround sound, like a big old screen, and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna get my experience today, and it's gonna be fucking awesome. So that was the pre-show, before the actual movie started. That was a story. Jesus Christ.
It's okay.
Sorry. We get past the previews and all that stuff, and the movie starts playing on the screen. I fucking lost it when I started hearing the opening, and it was just green hell. And I'm a music person, so I geeked a lot for the music in the movie for a majority of the time. So it's literally me just like shaking in my chair, kicking my feet, and just grabbing my mom, because like I'm giggling like non-ecstatic, like not. I couldn't control my giggling, and she's just like looking at me, is like, what is going on with you? Like, I'm fucking excited. Just let me be myself. And then
What is wrong with this child?
What's wrong with my 20-year-old? She never acts like this. Oh my god. I think like the biggest surprise for me was that Hyper Potion's friend actually made it into the movie. And I was just like, you go freaking do it, bro. Like,
yeah, I was really surprised when that popped up.
I was so proud. And I felt all kinds of emotions during that segment. And I was just like, yo, this is a love child. So that whole part with Baby Sonic, which he is adorable, by the way, he must be protected. And Longclaw. I guess I was kind of iffy on the whole Longclaw situation, because there were rumors prior to the release of the movie that there would be like a realistic owl bird type of figure.
Yeah,
and I was just like, okay.
Longclaw.
If we can talk about that for a second.
I'm convinced that she came along from Sonic's previous design, and she's the only one they didn't bother changing.
Yeah, it does seem rather obvious that that they designed her to be more compatible with Sonic's original design. But like even then, like she doesn't look anything Sonic. Like original movie Sonic looks like a complete and total bastardization rather of Sonic design. She just looks like she missed her chance to be in Owls of Ga'Hoole, and decided to come over to this movie instead.
Disappointingly, we never got to see bastardized echidnas or Tails.
So, I agree, because I actually watched that clip prior to us coming into this call, just to get like a refresher on that scene in general. And I'm just like looking at Longclaw, looking at Sonic, and I'm like, these two should not be on the same plane of existence. Like,
Exactly.
And then like you have okay, even when the echidnas came in, like bruh, Longclaw looks like she doesn't belong. And like I love Longclaw as a character, but I think the design choice, like if that is supposed to reflect off of Sonic's old prior design to like the redesign, yeah, at least like tone it up or like make it like fit with the newer design.
Just give her big old eyes.
Yeah.
It really is surprising. I guess Paramount was just so protective of their original character that they wouldn't let Tyson Hess touch her up.
Well, maybe they were just like, she's an original character that shows up for like a minute. Who's gonna care?
You'd think that like you'd think that maybe they'd go for something more like the Babylons, for instance. There is bird designs in Sonic. So it's not like there isn't a basis for that sort of thing, but
I'm pretty sure there are owls in the Archie comics somewhere. So
probably, unless if any of them were made by Ken Penders, then he would probably like sue the shit out of Paramount.
Let's not speak that name into existence, please.
Original characters are copyright Ken Penders.
I saw some the other day, and I'm oh god, I need bleach. But anyways. The beginning scene made me kind of emotional because it reflected something that did happen in my life. So it's just me trying to like hold tears because like I just went from being super excited to me just going extremely sad. I'm just like, okay, come on, you were just happy a couple seconds ago. And I'm just like, Mom, I might need those tissues that you were using just a couple minutes ago. Because she started crying during, like, one of the previews. It was, like, for, like, one of those, like, chick flicks or whatever. And I'm just like, I'm not a big fan of them, but my mom for those. So I'm like, you give me those tissues. But, oh my god, afterwards.
There were plenty of moments in this movie, I think, that you said were pretty real for you.
Well, yeah, and I guess I'm just like, I'll just go in order because if I just go like scene to scene to scene, it makes no. Oh no! Okay, before the actual like moment that I actually do want to talk about that did resonate with me. Back to like expressions. So the scene where like Tom is just like by the sign. And Sonic's just like running back and forth. You could see him in the back of the car, and I just love the expressions that he's making. And I'm just like, that's Sonic right there. I don't know why I thought that, but it looks like the most Sonic thing ever. Just like the way how he's like checking the speed detector, and he's just like, yes. I love how they animated him there. But that's just like my little side note. For like the main kicker. I'm just gonna say it. The baseball scene really got to me a lot, mainly because that's like another moment that hit hard for me. Because you have Sonic, who's like lived his life, or like a good majority of his life, by himself, and he's like the different personalities that he took during the said baseball game. Oh, they were so funny. But I think like I kind of
when he stops and sees the empty stands.
Yeah. That's when it really like hit hard for me because like earlier when there were people playing like on the actual field with like all the little kids and stuff, and then I saw like the high five scene, I immediately knew where it was going, and I felt so bad for him. Oh my god. And then when it actually came to the part where he got over home base and he stuck his hand up, I was like, my heart. And just me like starting to cry in the theater, but like it's like a silent cry, so I just like put my shirt over my mouth just to like hide the fact that I was sobbing a little. But that scene that hit really hard for me.
I remember when I saw it because I know some of your personal story.
Yeah.
I
wouldn't go into that, but
right, yeah.
It's just Sonic being the best way for me to explain it is just like movie Sonic, like after like baby and teenager, that's what we're him. Just reflects me as a little, preferably like when I was like 8 years old or such. But that's just how I would see it. Go on. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
When I saw that that part of the movie, and he just like stops for a moment and is like, "I'm all alone." I was like, I know immediately why Remy connected with this scene, and I paused the movie because I'm the only one here who hasn't seen it in the theaters. I have an unfortunate track record of watching movies the way I'm not supposed to, which for any government officials watching does not mean downloading. I want to make that perfectly clear. I did not download the movie.
No, FBI, don't!
FBI, open up!
Oh fuck! They've come through the windows. But I paused the movie and I immediately opened up Discord, and I gave Remy some assurances after that because I felt for her, as well as Sonic, of course. You know.
But anyway, moving past the base, what other scenes like stuck? I think the bar scene was a really fun for me as well. When everything just goes super slow. Sonic's just a fucking like kid. He's a like he's having
Oh yeah, he's totally having a blast.
like bro. What made me laugh was like when he grabs like the glass bottle, he tries to break it on the dude's head. It's like, am I crazy or is this supposed to break? Bing, 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 bing. Like, bro.
I thought that was a nice little nod to like how real life bottles are much more dense than Hollywood bottles.
Yeah.
Right. I think I just learned something new right now because I just agree with that, but it just clicked in my head. I was like, oh wait, yeah, they are more dense. and oh no, oh so that's just oh man. Okay, I have to do a little bit of exploring with that later then.
They make them out of sugar.
Are they actually fake bottles?
Yeah, they're made out of something called sugar glass.
Okay. I didn't know this prior to just now.
Well, yeah, it's the first podcast on the channel. It's time for new things. So you learned a movie magic fact here.
I feel I am a embarrassment as a theater student. Okay. But just a little shout out to the song. I think the oh my god, the person who wrote the singing, not wrote but singing, Ex-Ambassador, I think it's the name of the person singing the song that plays during the bar scene. It was really good, and I remember looking it up afterwards because the beat stuck with me afterwards, and I was just like, okay, I'm adding this to my like. Oh my god, it's just like I enjoyed everything in the movie like opening day because like there was so much energy in the theater, and I think the best parts is when I just got ahead of myself when the audience reacts together. So this was said earlier, but everybody in the audience did react to when Sonic when Sonic got caught by Tom and just was like meow. Almost everyone in that theater said it at the same time, and just the screaming afterwards, because some people did actually do the scream with the movie playing along, and just the amount of laughter that erupted from the entire theater during that part made me laugh.
That reminds me of Courtney. Project S&T had her like vlog thing about avoiding spoilers after those started coming about on Twitter, and she ends the blog by doing some like inside the theater POV stuff of like watching the movie, and it gets to that part, and the audience does meow exactly like that. As far as I know, they didn't do the scream. It sounded to me like after that happened, they all realized that they did it together, and then they all just start wildly cheering. And I thought that was one of the greatest sounding things ever.
Oh my god,
that's hilarious.
It's amazing.
What are other like the whole Car scene. That was another one where the audience reacted strongly.
The car scene, you mean like a third of the movie?
Well, I think it's just okay. We're actually getting into the territory where I think everyone wants to talk about this part. I think half of the theater just screamed no, but then the younger part of the audience just started laughing at that part where Sonic just starts to floss after he just like took out the entire hecking tank or whatever.
Oh god, yes.
So it was
oh my god.
Everybody just like no, but then the little kids are just like he's flossing.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, well that's the demographic for that part.
Yeah. I mentioned it before we got this recording going, but in the second trailer, I believe it was, he does a different dance during that part, and it looks so much better and far more timeless than that stupid fucking floss.
Big Tank 1 or what Sonic 1 Big Tank 0. I think I went along with the movie at that part. Tom, how are you not dead? I have no idea. And my parents are looking at me. You this is the first time you're watching this movie, and yet you know the. It's like I've watched a lot of trailers.
I saw the promotional material, Mom.
Oh my god, that was actually something that Well, this is actually around the time where people were avoiding spoilers. Me being the person I am, I watched that like 1 minute clip that was released prior to like the movie like premiering in theaters, and I remember I showed both of my parents, and my dad laughed more when I showed him than my mom, and I'm just like, okay, that gives me a little bit of levity for actually bringing them into the theater. But that's that. I think the Jim Carrey scene where he's like dancing was a really funny one for me.
Oh fuck yeah! They threw in like a little reference to the Dr. Robotnik dancing video.
So that was another scene that I was watching prior to the call, and when the electricity went out and he went to like the breaker, I noticed like on the switch above like the one for like the evil lab, there was a label that had Badniks on it. Yeah. And I was just like, oh, that's a really good Easter egg. But then like immediately my brain is just like, wait a minute. So he can just like restart his Badniks from his like little truck or something? is what went through my head.
Well, I mean, in a later scene, he does say that he prepares for things that he's not expecting. So you know, it seems like a decent backup plan to me. To have it in his breaker.
I use breaker switches for my Badniks.
How's about Sanic making his feature film debut?
Oh my god,
dear Lord!
you know,
Crazy Carl.
I love Crazy Carl. First of all, I think he's like my favorite citizen in that whole town.
Totally.
I mean, if we're gonna have a crazy old guy conspiracy theorist character, then yes, please give me that Sonic or Sanic rather. I thought that it was a wonderful way to incorporate that shitty fucking drawing into the movie.
I laughed, and I fucking loved that Easter egg as well. I think I had to cover my mouth when I actually saw that originally because my laugh.
There's been a lot of love for Sanic over these past few years. It was referenced in Sonic Boom, and it was even in Sonic Forces.
Butterfruit Sanic. No, I believe it's Sonic. No, it's Sanic right here.
There's plenty of great references, Easter eggs and whatnot in the movie in general. Like when you brought up the Badnik switch, my mind immediately went to something I saw recently. Not that I caught it when I watched it, but someone pointed out that one of the list items on Sonic's bucket list is to sing the national anthem.
Oh yes.
You know what? I found that tweet and I sent it to Dust Skull, and he didn't realize until I said that joke to him, and everything clicked in that moment. And I think we were just like left laughing out loud in the VC, leaving people like kind of confused, kind of not.
I love Jason Griffith's story for recording that because he remembers the session. And don't worry, viewers, this will get back to the Sonic movie. Jason Griffith was like, this is going to turn out really bad. I'm not a singer at all. And they were just like, okay, but do it though.
Okay, we don't care.
But there was that, and there was like also references to games like Sonic Rush Adventure, the Olympics titles, Unleashed in the bucket list, and that's just the bucket list. There's probably like plenty more references and Easter eggs and stuff that I don't know of.
Yeah, I'm sure there are a lot in the background, but I didn't pick up on many of them.
I think like one that I did pick up when I was in theater, Crush 40 was like one of the artists.
Yeah.
I saw that immediately. Like, when am I gonna hear Live and Learn? Come on.
Never.
Waiting for it. Oh my god. I think
when they faded out to black at the end, they should have started playing the intro to Shadow the Hedgehog.
I won't go on too long. I guess like just the movie continues, I guess. We get to like the scene where he finally finds his bag of rings and all that stuff, and then Robotnik basically like corners them. And I think that's when we get the first initial like name drop of him calling him Eggman. And I didn't realize this until later, but like the whole like Donut Lord and Pretzel Lady was done on purpose. And then when he calls him Eggman, I was just like, wait a minute, it all fits place. They're all names. What?
Yeah, it took me a bit to sort of realize that too, but I do think that that's a pretty nice touch that Sonic was giving like all these ridiculous nicknames to people, and then Eggman. So
I mean, he'd be the type to do it, so it makes sense.
Nice job, writers.
That was really a nice attention to detail, because like at first like I didn't understand. Well, I understood kind of not the whole like Pretzel Lady, Donut Lord, because like it's like affiliating what like or like things that they do in life, and then like you see I'm just gonna call him Eggman at this point. You see Eggman with like these big old like egg-shaped robots, so it makes perfect sense for man to Eggman.
And part of it too, I think, is that Sonic seems to be played a bit younger in this.
Yeah,
like maybe around 13 or so.
I think like he's the same age, but the lack of interaction that he's had for so long has sort of like made him less privy to things and more immature, as you would expect from someone who's isolated themselves from society at such a young age.
Yeah,
I relate to way too much.
All around me are familiar faces.
Oh my god, but that scene happened. The whole chase scene afterwards, like Sonic's using all his rings and they're basically traveling the world, like from the Great Wall of China to like I'm assuming Egypt.
Yeah.
And then like they also end up back at like Green Hill by the end of that, which a part of me didn't understand when I was in the theater, because to my understanding it was still daytime when they used the first ring to like go to France, I believe.
I think the implication is that they were going around for a very long time.
I mean, yeah, but I guess like I didn't really think about it when I was like watching it like first time. But that happened, and Eggman's like, he's an alien, he doesn't belong here, and all that stuff. And then here comes Tom and Maddie like defending Sonic and all that stuff, which by the way, I was surprised when Eggman's just like, who the hell do you think you are? And Tom is just like, I'm the Donut Lord, you son of a just like that censored. And I'm just like, whoa.
That caught me off guard in a good way.
You could have said it, it's rated PG. You son of a bitch.
There's some moments like that though, he says hell in the swear word context, and there's almost a son of a bitch there, but I mentioned
There's
it in
some
my
pretty adult
like.
jokes in this movie.
Yeah, I mentioned it in my initial reactions video, but there was that fucking hilarious anal probing joke.
Yeah.
Can you please actually explain, or just like explain what that scene was, because I think that might have actually gone over my head, because like when I watched your initial reaction video, I thought back to it and I'm just like, was there? Like it could be the fact that I'm a little bit like more on the innocent side, but
it's like, okay, so Tom has Sonic, and like Sonic's about to wake up. Robotnik's on his way there, like noticeably on his way there. Yeah,
okay.
so yeah, just that fucking exchange. Are your friends gonna come back? I don't want to get probed. And then Sonic's just like, you think you're worried? I'm not even wearing pants.
Probably my favorite adult joke was one that came like 5 minutes later, where Tom says to Eggman, like, I was breastfed, and then he's just immediately like, nice.
Nice. Rub it in my orphan face.
Yeah.
I was just like, yay. But wasn't that that was also like the part where like he's like, oh yeah, I bet you're hella famous with the here or something like that. And I was just like, oh wait, that could kind of be classified as a swear, no? I mean, like, my parents aren't gonna care because, like, well, I'm like an adult at this point. But you know, there's gonna be that one mom in the audience, like, they said the word. My child is 5. I have you know. Going a little bit off topic, but when Deadpool came out, all the fucking like complaints that came out because parents didn't heed the warning that it was a fucking rated R movie. But yeah,
don't get me started on that.
People don't pay attention to ratings.
Like, it's superhero, so it's good for my kids.
It's a Marvel movie, so it must be okay to take my child to it. This is why we have ratings. People, pay attention to the ratings. Okay, I'm sorry, that just pisses me off. But
honestly, I'm of the argument that we shouldn't even have ratings anymore because nobody pays attention to them.
Well, it's the parents' choice if they want to have their little like 8 or 7-year-old in a fucking theater watching two grown-ups having sex. But you know, that's just me.
God damn it! Why did that remind me of when? Trust me, we're gonna get back to the Sonic movie. But
are we?
I was watching The Hangover 2 in theaters with a friend, and like I wasn't rated our age, but I was 17, right? So I knew, you know.
I think I was 17 when I went to watch Deadpool. I mean,
so I was 17. None of that stuff's gonna fly over my head, but we just have this scene where a character is just right there, cock and balls out, talking about how one of the main characters got fucked in the ass. And like in the row behind me is this 7-year-old child. Like he couldn't have been older than that. And I'm like, who the fuck irresponsible parent is bringing this kid into the goddamn theater? I bet you're really proud now.
Oh yeah, Shawshank Redemption, that should be perfectly fine for my children.
God.
But I do think with the Sonic movie, see, there, we got back to it. That's even if it's not a reasonable reaction, in my opinion, they didn't go overboard with swearing or anything. It is PG, so you would kind of expect there to be like, you know,
a few uses in there.
You know, perhaps like no swearing at all is a reasonable expectation for the movie. Not something that would be worth getting pissed off, though. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a goddamn.
They could have very easily gone Shadow the Hedgehog level, but they didn't.
Apparently, during development, when it was at Sony, they were pushing for a PG-13. Actually, so this is actually kind of like Shadow the Hedgehog trying to get a T.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit.
I mean, this one significantly toned down the stuff.
Yeah, Shadow was very much straddling that line, but
that's kind of an interesting parallel, isn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking of that, but you're exactly right.
So I think for the Sonic movie, it's a little bit more of a reasonable expectation, but yeah, it is ridiculous to get that mad about it. I would say.
I haven't heard anybody get mad about it. So,
was anybody particularly mad about that, Remy?
I'm trying to remember actually because I heard a little bit of scuffing from some parents in the audience, and the row that I was sitting in had a lot of families in the row, but from what I heard in that row, not a lot. But there were a few a few parents in like the back of the theater, like, wait, this is supposed to be a kids film. Like, why are they using that word? And I think at one point during that, like, going back to the whole like I'm the donut lord, you son of a I think one family actually took their kids and left the theater because yeah, I felt super bad because
This is going to corrupt my little Jeffrey.
I don't know. Okay, I feel like it's basically the end of the movie, and you're just gonna walk up and take your little child and not even let them finish it because of that like little part.
That kid doesn't know that Tails is in the movie.
Oh, that poor child. But just aside from that, not a lot of people made like a big deal.
I gotcha. So is there any other sort of moments from your experience in the theater that you want to touch on?
Well, you brought it up earlier, so I'm just gonna fucking say it. I screamed at the top of my lungs when I saw my boy Tails fly through that ring at the end of the freaking credits.
Yeah,
or the mid-credit scene, actually. And a part of me was just like, I'm gonna say it right now, that was one of the scenes that I did get spoiled on Twitter, and I was fucking upset. Because I was just like...
It showed up on my YouTube recommendations, and I was like, oops.
It wasn't even on YouTube, it was just on Twitter. The first thing at the top of my hecking timeline, oh, he's in the movie. And just me at 9 o'clock in the morning screaming at the top of my lungs, God damn! My parents thought I was having a freaking heart attack.
That and the flossing were two things, the only two things, thank God, that I was spoiled to prior to my watching of the movie. The Tails one was very subtle, though. I had to like sort of put two and two Tails together. I
apologize for that, actually, because
your comments were far more subtle, though. I still got that it was gonna be like a character from the games, and from that, like, who the fuck else would you introduce second after Sonic? that would have been a nice surprise, considering echidnas were in the beginning. It would have made a lot of sense, but you were like, I was really surprised that they put that character in there, and then someone else in the chat was like, I wonder if they got the voice actor from the games, and I was like, oh, okay, so it's Tails.
Oof.
I hear rumors that they want Dwayne Johnson to play Knuckles, and I'm like,
yes, yes.
That would be amazing.
I would love that, but I think considering the one line that that he should be playing the president.
I'm a little bit torn because I want him to be the president, but then if he was Knuckles, that would be kind of funny. But
either one would be fucking amazing.
I just keep him in the movie or put him in the sequel, please. If they're it's kind of guaranteed at the point that they're hyping up the second.
Yeah, it had a better opening weekend than Detective Pikachu did, and Detective Pikachu's getting a sequel. So
right now it's like
the
highest grossing video game movie. So.
The sequel is inevitable.
Definitely.
Dear Lord and mercy. Oh, it was a comment about like the Knuckles thing. So I don't recall where I heard this from, but somebody made a really key comparison where like any like raw, regardless if it's like live animation or not. I think like the one exception of this was Race to Witch Mountain or something like that. any character that The Rock is in, like any like thing that he acts, they always like emphasize on the whole like pec stick. Like they did it in Moana, they did it in like Island 2, I think, or Mysterious Island. Oh my god, I forget the name of that. But I think it's more inevitable or like more noticeable in Moana, since he was like Maui and all that stuff. So somebody was like, what if they got Dwayne Johnson to voice Knuckles? What if they made like Knuckles like dance with his pecs or something like that, or they gave him pecs because The Rock would
So
be
just make him
him.
Boom Knuckles.
Oh god.
Oh jeez.
If that was the case, then I guess that was the point that was like trying to be like brought across, which I don't want, because no, just no, all the no's.
You know, the Rock as Knuckles would be far better than the original idea that Rabbit and I had when we were being far more cynical about the movie.
Oh.
I don't know if you remember this, Rabbit, but there was one time we were talking, and we started rolling and making jokes to each other about Knuckles just being like completely almost brain dead stupid. And a joke that you made was that like at one point in the movie, because the worst kinds of these CG live action hybrid movies have like the fucking dumbass gross out humor. So like I think you said something along the lines of they would have Knuckles poop and then turn around and go, "Duh, chocolate."
Oh god.
God.
Yeah.
So thank God nothing of the sort happens in this movie.
Yeah, we were expecting it to be more along the lines of Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Thank God it wasn't.
If they keep the writers for the next one, hopefully it doesn't get that bad.
Yeah.
Aside from, I forgot that I was tail, but almost everybody in the theater screamed when Tails showed up, which is a proper reaction, by the way, because I was also screaming like a maniac. And then going back to that group of kids before the movie, so we all leave the theater because we saw what we had to see. And that same group of kids comes back and finds me because I was waiting for my father to take care of his. And immediately I just hear somebody behind me. There she is! And almost like it wasn't the same group of 5. Apparently there was more, and it just turned into like a whole bunch of like little kids surrounding me, and I kind of panicked. Cause one of them asked me, "Wait, you were in the movie? You're the actual Tails voice actor!" And I was just panicking. I'm just like, how do I explain to these kids?
I would
that
have
I'm not
lied and said
Colleen?
yes.
You're not the first person that told me that. It's like you should have been like, yeah, I am the voice actress for Tails. But then
Local Remy becomes minor celebrity.
oh no, I felt so bad because like it was just me doing my Tails impression for like a group of like what was 5 turned to like almost 15, and just like how do I deal in this situation, and then like their parents coming up to me apologizing, saying they don't know what came over their children, and I'm just like standing there like, hey miss, I understand their excitement, because I was once like that as well. But I think for that to actually happen, I was kind of happy. And I wouldn't say proud of myself, but I was kind of glad that I was able to bring some excitement for little kids that were in that theater. Because I think for the most part, I did hear them screaming. I knew where they were sitting too, and I kind of unconsciously was looking back to their row during the movie to see how they were like holding up, and they were like enjoying it for the most part. So I'm glad.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So finishing up, I think I said this prior. Don't remember to who. That my general thoughts. The Sonic movie helped me remember why I became a Sonic fan in the first place. And yeah, that's it. I apologize for the rambling-esque.
No, it's nice to hear your experience watching it and all that. Like, if anyone else likes the same scenes, which I'm sure that there's a bunch. I guess it would be a good idea to like not talk too much about repeat scenes if we want to bring up any in particular. But you saw it on premiere day, Remy, and then the day after, Symph and co-host Tori, who joined during Remy's story. Hello.
Okay. Hello.
Mr. Tortex. So, any like preparations or particular experiences or moments from the film that you want to elaborate on, both of you?
Can we just talk about Olive Garden?
Yes. You know what that fucking reminds me of? Krispy Kreme from the Power Rangers movie.
Oh my god.
God.
But the difference is that they actually turned their sponsorship into a running gag for the movie, which I thought was genius.
They also had that lovely biting the hand at the end. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun fact, the day before, Tori and I actually had Olive Garden for dinner, so.
It's true.
Oh, beautiful.
Yep.
Nice.
So the first time they dropped Olive Garden in the movie, we looked at each other and just fist bumped.
I had no idea going in.
Wonderful.
No, I really enjoyed myself. I especially thought it was clever the way they worked in the both Dr. Robotnik and Eggman thing into the movie.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Sonic Adventure in that respect. There's not too many works out there that will use both names, so it's nice to get that sort of sense of continuity. Because at least in North America, Sega was never like, oh no, Robotnik's not his name at all. It is his name. They just don't bring it up anymore.
Right.
So it was nice to hear.
Nobody calls me that anymore.
One of the very few times they bring it up.
Yep.
I will also second Remy's comments about screaming when Tails came on screen. I literally started crying.
Screaming, crying, punching me in the arm.
Let me ask you, Tori. Then, did it take a while for your ears to be repaired?
Well, she was screaming in like dog whistle fashion, so my ear
I got you.
fine, but it was louder than the human ear could process.
And I wasn't the only one screaming, so.
Oh no, she was not even close. The theater was up in a roar.
It
Oh
was,
my God,
it was
it's
beautiful.
Tails.
But
Oh my god, it's Tails!
legit though, I think what surprised me more was was the fact that Colleen, like, they got the actual like her. Like, wow,
That was impressive. Like
Yeah,
you could,
I'm amazed.
That's what surprised me the most. I thought they just recast him.
but
Yeah.
you could tell that decision was after the remake, not the remake, but the redesign of the movie. After they realized how passionate that the fan base is.
Yeah.
That's
Oh yeah.
get all that stuff in there, and I feel like
That just gave me a lovely thought that they had someone else already cast as Tails before making that decision, and then the mental image that I got was some executive phoning up the previous actor and being like, I really apologize about this, but we have to be more true to the games and everything, and just we already redesigned the character. We're bringing in the actor from the game, so I'm sorry, Macaulay. But we're gonna have to drop you as the voice of Tails.
God damn it! Now I
Culkin's
really
here.
want Macaulay Culkin to play Tails.
Can I
Oh,
just pose
geez.
a question? Did anybody else notice that, like, when he first initially appears, his tail is just one, and not like the two? but then like afterwards when he does like the back pan, it splits up. Did anybody else notice that and kind of like had like a 5-second heart attack?
No.
Or is it just me?
No.
I didn't notice that.
I think your eyes are fucking with you.
No, I went back and watched it. So legit, his tails split when he's about to like jump off, but they're like joined together at the beginning.
Huh.
Okay.
I'll have to look back at that.
Well,
I made sure to watch it before coming in here.
it would be the artist who notices that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're sorry, Remy.
It's okay. I am cursed with this all-seeing eye of mine.
We got you. So, aside from that other stuff, any other particular things that you'd like to share about your experiences there?
Laughed my ass off when they showed Sanic.
Ah, yeah. We touched on that earlier. That was beautiful.
I don't know what all you guys are talking about, but no, it's just like it's just the amount of references. I'm not a Sonic fan. Like I know very little, but I can tell like all of the effort that they put into making this fan friendly and giving everyone what they want. Like that's the kind of director I want to be. You know what I mean?
Okay, Symph, homework. Because I mentioned this earlier, you now have to show Tori the national anthem video.
God, what?
Haven't you seen it? I'm pretty sure you watched me watch it.
Symph, you know my brain.
I know, chunkier brain.
If I've seen it 100 times, I still might not know.
Chunkier brain, I know. Okay.
No, I don't think I have.
That's your homework, Symph.
Okay.
So you two had a pretty good time then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Had a great time.
I had a couple of Sonic shirts in my closet that I pulled out. I'm like, hey Tori, which one do you want to wear? So which one did you borrow? I don't remember.
It's the ones with all the rings on it.
The gray one? Yeah,
the gray one. Says the gotta go fast on it.
Welcome to the next level or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, so that one has classic Sonic on it, and it says Speed Freak, welcome to the next level. And then I wore my black Sonic shirt that had classic Sonic, and it just says Sonic on it. Didn't bring any of my plushes, because I think they're still in my closet somewhere. Didn't really think about it, but yeah.
Awesome stuff.
I thought about getting chili dogs, but I couldn't find a Skyline.
Damn.
You should have gone to Sonic.
We don't have one near us.
We don't have a Sonic. We don't have a Sonic anywhere.
So Rabid, as the third one in this grouping that went to see the movie, please remind us again what your preparations were before that, because it was fucking hilarious.
Absolutely fucking nothing.
Beautiful. So your theater experience then.
Well, let's see. I went a week after the movie came out because I despise children and I don't want to deal with them. So
that's a mood.
I feel that.
Never again after my watching of Wreck-It Ralph.
I had a bad experience like pretty recently, like the past couple of times I went to see children's movies, so I made sure to wait this time. So I don't really have much to say about like the theater experience itself per se. I mean, if you want to hear a lot of my thoughts on the movie, just watch my review. But
plug in.
His review video is pretty hilarious.
Yeah. Anybody else want to chime in? I don't really have much to say.
Okay. I gotcha. So I was the last one. I tried vigilantly to see this movie in the theater, but unfortunately, no plans worked out. I already mentioned the meetup with Symph that didn't happen. I tried getting something together with my mom. I tried getting something together with my little brother. God just did not want me to see this movie in the theater. So again, I pretty much all of the time have to end up seeing movies the way that I'm not supposed to, and Kim Cartoon had me covered. Just a few days ago, 5 days ago, in fact, I don't remember when I devised the plan, but I do remember seeing that video by Courtney in the subscription box and thinking about that. Didn't actually watch it until the day after I saw the movie, but I was like, I'd like to do something sort of like that. I wonder what it could be. And my idea for preparation was having like a media marathon of the Sonic cartoons in the OVA, and that was a fun time. I made a video about that, so I won't like get into big details about like my experiences watching that, because there's a whole fucking video about that already. Links in the description. But that was very fun. And like aside from some other stuff that caused some delays, I had me a good old time watching Adventures and Sat AM. The OVA in particular, I think, was probably like the shining moment of all that. I had the most fun that time watching the OVA, and that was pretty nice. So I was nice and hyped to watch the movie, and just immediately, I think I was pretty sucked into it. I think that I got a lot of similar feels to when I originally saw the OVA back when I was first becoming a fan of the franchise, and it was just really nice to see finally after a goddamn month of it being out. Just even without the theater experience, which I think would have been the ultimate way to watch this movie, it still did a damn good job. Aside from the stuff that I mentioned in the initial reactions, like I liked the actors' performances and stuff that we touched on, like Jim Carrey, am I right? Golden Retriever, am I right? It was a bunch of fun. Some scenes in particular, like the first thing that comes to me in terms of scenes was I really liked Tom's sister-in-law and her daughter. They were funny.
Oh, that was fun.
One scene I meant to mention but just forgot about was Sonic running around with the turtle near the beginning.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
my heart wept. Oh, that was
poor
the
turtle.
cutest thing I've ever seen in my life.
And of course, they played Supersonic by Queen.
Oh yeah.
God,
we would have been committing a sin against Monkey Dude if we hadn't mentioned how wonderful it is to hear Queen in anything.
Definitely.
So thank you for bringing that up, Rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
The turtle scene was nice and charming. Tom's sister-in-law was pretty funny. Her daughter JoJo was for the very brief moment that she's in the movie, like when she gives Sonic the shoes, that was like really sweet and heartwarming and stuff. I think is like the only character in the entire movie doesn't immediately give Sonic like what the fuck are you sort of reaction.
Yeah.
So that was really nice.
And then me being a big JoJo's Bizarre Adventure fan when I first heard her name was like, oh no.
So what the fuck? But yeah, like I think we pretty much covered all of the other scenes that I might have wanted to talk about a little more in detail. There's not really much that I can remember in particular. So I guess just one more thing that I can mention before getting into overall final thoughts is another sort of reference or cameo or whatever was I do think it was really fucking cool that Gary Chalk played a role.
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
He was like the head of the Navy or whatever, and I didn't really connect it until reading it on the TV Tropes page. But he's using kind of a similar voice in that scene to Robotnik and Underground, which is pretty nice.
Close to his natural voice, so.
I fucking love Robotnik's voice in Underground, so I was like, hey, nice.
And he's in a lot of stuff that films in Canada, which is obviously where this was filmed, so I'm pretty sure that's the reason he's in this movie, and not like because he was a voice actor in Sonic cartoons. But it's still pretty neat.
It could have been either way.
I feel like both played a part.
Maybe.
Oh shit, you know what that reminds me of though? Maybe it was just the fact that he's a Canadian. Because according to, again, I'm gonna cite that TV Tropes page. I read something that like Yuji Naka said that he reached out to them to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo in the movie, and they never got back into contact with him. They never responded to him, and I felt really bad for him.
Yikes.
Yuji Naka is not okay.
Poor Yuji Naka.
I would have loved to see that. God.
Yeah, that would have been great. God damn.
You know what? Now that I'm actually thinking about it, I probably, if that did actually happen and get into the movie, I probably recognized it.
Outside of, just resurrecting Stan Lee and having him cameo in the movie anyway.
Oh god. They brought a man back from the dead.
Hi, I created Sonic the Hedgehog.
Just like every other fictional character.
So yeah, one final thing actually I'm going to mention about the Tails scene because I didn't say it before. We circle back to Tails in this.
Clearly.
I mean, even though I was kind of spoiled to it, it was still cool. And I got the impression from Tails that like maybe if they're going to do a sequel, I think that an interesting idea after the impression that he gave me in that brief little moment would be them sort of reversing the roles, because Sonic is kind of like a bit socially awkward and a little immature, and Tails comes off a bit more confident and heroic in that one little bit than he has in a shitload of the previous games. So I think that would be
Me too, Remy.
Okay.
I think that would be an interesting way to play things in the sequel. Should it happen, and when they meet up in it, that like Tails is like the sort of more experienced hero type. He seemed kind of like a badass, and I don't know, but I feel like he might be my favorite character in this movie universe if a sequel gets made.
It seems to me that's what they're building up to, yeah, and that they're most likely going to end up going back to Sonic's world.
Yeah.
I kind of hope so, because I feel like fleshing out the Sonic world, and even just the Mushroom world, would really benefit it. Because again, having it,
if there's one thing I can say about the beginning, they really did not spend enough time in Sonic's world.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
No, they wanted to get to like Earth right away.
The movie when we get to the casino world.
High stakes gambling. That's what I want in my Sonic movie.
There's gonna be a disclaimer: kids, we do not encourage gambling under the age of 21.
Oh yeah, baby, Las Vegas zone.
If you want to play the slots, do it the safe way by purchasing Sonic 2 or Sonic 4 Episode 1 or any of the other goddamn games we have, pinball or whatever the fuck.
Because I got clearly banned from playing cards.
Beautiful.
Well, Tails counts cards,
Mm-hmm. And I think that pretty much sums up the experience. Was that it was a fun, nice, immersive time. And I got a lot of the same vibes that I did from watching the OVA the first time, which was a very immersive experience for me when I was first becoming a fan. So just before we end this thing, final overall thoughts on the film.
I was going to do something funny, but I decided against it.
That's my job.
Yeah.
Gimmick infringement.
I think I said it previously. It's just brought out my inner child and reminded me of why I became a Sonic fan in the first place, because I did get involved with Sonic around the time that I was like getting bullied and pretty much isolated from. So I appreciate it. Should. But yeah, that's my initial.
Symph, Tori?
Symph, you first.
Okay. This movie made me so glad that I am still a Sonic fan to this day because, like Remy, I was also bullied when I was younger for liking a cartoon blue hedgehog that likes to run fast. Just the graphics were really pretty. They brought in my boy at the end. And all the Easter eggs throughout the movie. It was so good. We are definitely going to get it when it comes out on DVD, and
Definitely.
it's definitely a movie that I'm going to keep until my final days.
Right on.
Tori.
So, I agree. This is definitely a movie that I want on my shelf in my collection. You know, like I said, I'm not necessarily a huge Sonic fan, but I am a huge movie fan. And speaking from that perspective, I was greatly impressed. And considering the problems they had in development, it'd be really nice to see what they can do, putting that much effort through the entire process rather than just fixing it at the end. And I'm also a big X-Men fan, so I always love seeing Cyclops in a movie.
Well, of course. I felt the same way. It's been a long time since I've seen James Marsden in anything.
Oh yeah, but no, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I can't wait to watch it again.
My roommate, everybody, he's a nerd.
Yeah, buddy, but aren't we all?
Yeah, bum.
Rabid.
Oh boy. I mean, I don't have much to say that anybody else hasn't said. I guess. I thought it was a fun, charming movie. I smiled through a lot of it. I'd say it's a good movie on its own. It's better if you're a fan. I mean, I don't know.
That is also a mood.
Yeah.
I can take over for you if you want.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So just in an overall general sense, this movie is fun till your daddy takes the Eggmobile away. It's an incredible ride. I kind of wish that I hadn't seen it when I was so fucking tired, though, because there's a good deal of the chase scene that I totally blanked out on and don't remember.
Oh no.
But like even then, still like not being able to remember a bunch of the movie. Overall, this is just such a fun movie with a bunch of charm. Like you guys have said, I thoroughly enjoyed myself. And is it a perfect movie? No. Is it like the best adaptation of a video game in a film that I've ever seen? No. That honor goes to Detective Pikachu. But what we got, I think, was a nice, unexpected love letter to the fans. And considering, like, all the way back, and when the first teaser came about, and when the first trailer dropped, such a significant improvement in turnaround from what I initially thought that this movie was going to be, and the jump in quality that I totally was not expecting from it. Again, Sonic 2020 is not a perfect film by any means, but I will have been a Sonic fan for 13 years come May. And that means, since I'm turning 26, that means that I'll have been a Sonic fan for half of my life. And from that perspective, I think that this movie was a pretty goddamn good way of reaching that milestone, which I think is why I sort of connected my experiences watching this in the OVA when I first became a fan.
I've been a fan for about 18, 19 years, so clearly it's one of the biggest mistakes of my life.
But as like my favorite media franchise, Sonic the Hedgehog, like this is such a good way to sort of get to that point of, all right, Sonic has been a thing for me for half of my life now, and for a series that much like Remy, much like Symph, I presume like Rabid, not so much for Tori, that has been fairly personal to me. This is a hell of a way to get to that milestone. Fantastic work. Please more Jim Carrey in the future. Fantastic job,
yes.
everybody.
I liked it enough to bother editing a review right after, if that says anything.
Same here.
Oh God!
I'll give it
Oh, you know what this
good
means?
out of 10.
What's that, Sim?
I have been a fan for 22 years.
By God.
Yeah,
I'm old.
Simp got into Sonic like the earliest out of all of us Sonic fans. Remy may not have even been born.
I was 3 years old.
Y'all making me feel like the baby.
Oh my God.
You are the baby.
Yeah. You're a small babby child. You were not born until like the 21st century.
Was born.
No. Hold on. She was born in 1999, good sir.
Oh, excuse me.
So cutting it close. Cutting it
I was
close.
kind of close, but I didn't become a Sonic fan until I was like 8. So I think, oh my God, it's 2020, right?
Yeah.
18, 20. Oh my God, I can math. I will be a Sonic fan for 12 years next month.
Ooh-wee. And
I'm
think...
old.
Oh yeah, fuck, I'm old too. Rabbit's old.
Yeah. I can't say that anymore. That's so weird.
Remy's just the attendant here at this nursing home of a call.
Yeah, but pretty shitty attendant then.
But yeah, I think that just about sums it up. The fucking fantastic movie. Not perfect by any means, but they did a hell of a job.
What do you mean this movie was fucking Citizen Kane?
It was awesome because I was in it. Get it right.
Beautiful.
Uh-oh.
I think that's gonna about do it for the Protocast here. Symph, Tori, Remy, Rabid, thank you all very much for indulging in this crazy idea.
Oh yeah, it was fun.
Thank you for having us.
Time.
Yeah, buddy. So to the one person who requested it again, you know who you are. This is a sort of taste of how a podcast can be on my channel. For those who listened, if you want more, let me know. Because there's definitely plenty of subjects that Rabbit and I will more than likely be the tandem to take on like every episode of a podcast if this actually does become a thing. And of course, since this is like a pilot of sorts, it is a little more rough around the edges than future ones will be. But if you want to see more in the future, just let me know. I'm listening to you. Just like Paramount listened to the Sonic fans.
Hey.
And I think that'll about do it for the Protocast. So thank you all for listening and have yourselves a wonderful day.